confidence in our people that yes, we said this time we have changed. We are going to make things the way they are. So we need as early as possible. Even if Monday they could inform us in the morning that in the afternoon we are ready for the meeting. Why not? We will be prepared to meet the transport ministry.
What I know is that typically when you don't have these significant hikes, you get to look at fuel prices or transport fares like twice a year. Now, with these unpredictable increases, can we say that now all that is thrown out of the window? You will look at transport fares as and when. And since we are told that the prices could even increase further, that's the crude prices, petrol prices on the world market, it means that now anytime there's any upward increase in petrol, you will have to adjust. Is that what the future looks like?
Well, that is not standard. That is what the future brings. Because when I got into transportation somewhere in 82, it was almost once in a year. And it was being done properly. Those who are in charge of the fuel will inform the transport operators. So they come out alongside. The fuel prices changes, then the lorry fares also changes. Here we are today, things have changed. So it's not automatic. Look at within 1 month or so, look at the rate at which the prices has gone up. So are we waiting for when? Till the kingdom come or when? No, when things changes, we also have to change. That is the order of the day.
I heard you speak with my colleague Alfred Okanse during the week, and you said something quite important, that you're in commercial business.
Yes, madam.
It's not for you to lose money. If you want a percentage increase at this time, how much do you want?
We are looking at around 15%.
15%.
Yeah. We are not on single spine salary. I know Honorable will speak on our behalf. We are not on single spine, but if my son or my daughter attends one of the universities, I'm also going to pay the way those who are on single spine are also paying. I grew up with Honorable, let's imagine, and Honorable chose a different profession, of which he is in Parliament today. I also choose to run transport. Does it mean I have chosen the devilish profession? The answer is no. I should be able to live happily as Honorable, who is also taking single span, which is of course very fast salary, should also live.
Sure.
You see.
In terms of the increase you're asking for, is that a consensus by the drivers? Because the last time the drivers wanted 30%, you managed to get them to agree to something lower. How do you know that they will accept the 15%? Maybe.
You see, madam, if you are being chosen as a leader, you always have to be thinking ahead of the people. You see, we are in a country, if I have a car of my own, I have a very large relatives who doesn't have. So whilst you are thinking about your progress, you should think about your relatives as well. We came up with 30% upward adjustment. I remember Honorable was on Zoom, one of our discussions, and he was speaking on our behalf because the issues were very open. You see, we came up with 30%, and we can't say the kind of social service we are rendering to the public, we can come out with anything on our own. It is wrong. The streets, the road that we are using, it belongs to the whole Ghanaians. And government is representing all these people. We are in the profession. We have come out with, we said this and that and that and that is equal to the 30%. Government also has to represent the people. Government has to represent the people. That was why we've been dialoguing with government all the time. Else, we would have just think of 15% and we'll just announce it or organize a press conference effective from Monday. Everybody should charge 15%. But the answer is no. The kind of social service we are rendering. That was why when we made government and we negotiated on 15%, about 3 of our people who even haven't got any membership, they don't have even places where they operate. But by law, they have registered as a union. So the law backs them to say things concerning any activities of the transport industry. So if you can remember, some of us even kicked against what they were doing, because should we allow that, I would say I'm the only union which operates to your village. So if I'm to take 5 cedis, I'll take 10 cedis. Somebody will also say the area he runs to, there are a lot of potholes over there. So he will also take 3 times what he's supposed to take. Are we in animals kingdom? The answer is no. So we are pleading with them. If we come up with something, they should consult us. Why did you agree on this? Why did you do this? But just don't go behind the scene and be saying things which will not bring progress to the country. We are looking for money, but we should look for money wisely and make sure the monies that we make, there are a lot of blessing on it. That's what I would say on that.
All right. And that's Alhaji Moro. He's the spokesperson for the Ghana Road Transport Union there. We are joined on Zoom now by the Honorable Ejapa Mercer. He's the Deputy Minister in charge of Petroleum. Good morning to you, Honorable Mercer. Trust you are well. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jifa, and my sincere apologies. I was involved in a little emergency. That's how come I couldn't join you early.
That's all right, sir. You have joined us, so that's fine.
And let me quickly say good morning to my good friend, Mr. Moro.
Yeah. Thank you.
And of course,
but you've left your honorable member.
Oh no, I was coming there.
Okay.
Power is my very good friend, except that sometimes he tends to play more mischief than friendship. So,
so good. Thank you for making some time for us. I know it's a busy weekend. Ministers are with the president on retreat, trying to look at some of these issues with reference to fuel price hikes. First things first, yesterday, the Honorable John Jinapor referenced amounts that would have been accrued to the stabilization fund, or accrued from the stabilization levy. Can you tell us if these monies are there? Can they be used to cushion Ghanaians in the wake of these unprecedented prices of petrol, diesel, LPG?
Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers. Yesterday, I chanced upon John's press conference, and I was shocked by the kinds of figures that they were throwing about without any basis. Because if you allege that there's so much money in a certain account, the expectation of everybody would be that you provide some proof. You merely don't throw it out and leave it there. But I've realized over the period that tends to be the posturing of our friends in the opposition. They throw out figures, and when you ask them questions, then they are found wanting. Indeed, just when I got ready to get on set, I heard Bauer make reference to a couple of days ago, respect to how much was standing in the account. Look, as of January 13th, 2022, and I have a copy of the Bank of Ghana statement of the Petroleum Stabilization and Recovery account. The balance on the account was 40,757,439.50. This is an exact amount, and I've referenced my source. Let them tell us the source of their billions. It's important, because if they can't tell us the source of their billions that they allege in their accounts, then I'll ask them, with all due respect, to stop throwing figures about, because it doesn't help the discourse in any way. Look, these taxes, okay, have a purpose. In fact, when the law was passed in 2015, when they were in government, it was for good reason that they also made provision for this same PSRL amount to be used to pay subsidies on RFO and premix. That's a fact. That law was passed by them. It was good. Indeed, it has worked so well over the period such that some points when the prices are relatively lower, the taxes are imposed. When they rise to a certain level that can not be accommodated to a large extent by all of us, then it is suspended. But when the other funds, okay, or items that this money support is not in a position to pay, then it is reinstated. That's exactly what happened in February of this year, okay? And so it'll be important for my friends on the other side to tell us exactly where and the basis for this so-called billions that they mention around that they expect government, because obviously, we sitting in the Ministry of Energy, if this money was available sitting, what would be the difficulty?
All right, sorry, we've lost connection there with the Honorable Ejapa Mesa. We'll try and fix that. Okay, so you have joined us. Sorry, we lost you for a moment. So you were asking where the NDC gets its figures from. But is government able to give us a view of how much has been collected over a year and what it has been used for? Because I think the view is there isn't transparency in how these funds are expended. You mentioned the subsidies for premix and co, but that is fine. But many would also like to know, have this also been applied elsewhere?
Well, I know that it is reported biannually to Parliament, okay? And so if the time is not due for the report to be laid, that will be done. There is no single fund of the public that is not accounted for by any government. Of course, if they suspect that somebody is doing something untoward, I always challenge them that as members of Parliament, our duty is to hold government to account. And so ask the questions. And if you have contrary view to the responses that are provided, ask for people to be censured, because otherwise we are not going to make any progress. And I expect that we all make a contribution in advancing the cause of our country forward. But as far as I know, okay, and from where I sit, the figures that were put out by me on air, which I've confirmed to you, the basis for the recommendation to reinstate the levy in February, were that the money that was sitting in the account at BOG was insufficient to pay the monies that were due and going forward. And so it was important for government to reinstate it. Otherwise, the Ministry of Finance ought to be prepared to look for alternative sources of funds to pay for these subsidies on premix and RFO.
All right.
So that's where we are. Indeed, if I don't know, of course, I mean, we can advance the conversation, and to the extent that I'm late, I know a lot has been said. So
no, it's okay. Just go ahead. Don't worry. Feel free.
Yes,
but
the
thing is, though, we know that we have these taxes on the petroleum price buildup. Currently, with the price levels as they are now, we know that removing these taxes is not feasible because it won't really bring down prices at all. Are there any other options that will allow the prices to drop lower? Because 9 cedis, 10 cedis, that's unprecedented. GPRTU is asking for increase in transport fares, and we will have to deal with that as well.
That's very true. Indeed, government is very much sensitive about these matters. The prices of petroleum at the pumps is of concern to all of us, especially government, and hence the reason for the work that my minister commissioned the NPA to do that formed the basis for the recommendation to His Excellency the President, who has then forwarded it to the Finance Ministry to look at. Key component of the price build-up, and I'll be honest to admit, is the exchange rate. The cedi is depreciating at a fast pace, owing mainly to the downgrade by the ratings agencies and some speculation by people who are scrambling for the dollar. And necessarily, if there's excessive demand over the available amount of money that is in circulation, then obviously you have what it is that you have. And so a key consideration that has been tabled, for which a meeting has even been scheduled for Monday with the Ministry of Finance, is to see how the Bank of Ghana can intervene by creating some FX markets, okay, that then allows some forex availability for the importers of petroleum products. They themselves have proposed, that is the industry players, that even if they have a 2-month certainty of some dollar availability at a certain rate, not discounted necessarily, but Bank of Ghana rates, if you like, then that will give them some sense of planning to enable them import, and then have minimal impact of any depreciation that occurs within that window on the prices. And so that is an extremely important point that we are considering. We've forwarded it to the appropriate agencies that handle these matters. And a meeting has been scheduled for us to deliberate on it to see how that can be implemented. I believe that if that is done, in addition to other measures that the Bank of Ghana itself is taking to bring some sanity, if you like, within the space, and to bring some control on the spiraling depreciation of the cedi, we would see some stability that then, based on the world market price, can impact the prices at the pump for the benefit of all of us consumers. And so that, yes, it's useful that you made a point that even if all the taxes that the NPA, that is the Special Petroleum Tax, the Price Stabilization and Recovery Levy, and the Pollution and Sanitation Levy were all taken off, the impact really is about 76 pesos at the pump. Okay, and so it's really begs the question as to whether it will bring the kind of relief that people are expecting. And so something more ought to give, and the only factor in there that is within the control, if you like, of authority would be the Bank of Ghana then guaranteeing some forex that then affords the importers the ability to import at some certain rates for the product that they import. So that is being worked on, and my expectation is that we'll get some conclusion in the coming week to enable them do the needful at the next pricing window.
Okay, just hold on. Okay.
Before, if you may.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
The prices at the global market has begun to see some decline. Indeed, it rose all the way above $130 per barrel. That is trending downwards. That is relative to crude, and the expectation is that if the crude price comes down, then the white products, which is the petroleum products that we import, is also going to be impacted. And so let's see, hopefully during the next window, with all the interventions that are coming through and the extent that the Ministry of Finance may be able to accommodate some tax, if you like, reductions, okay, would, in my view, help in bringing the price within the reach of many a consumer.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Honorable Ejapames. I know that you have to leave us sometime quickly after 8, but just give us a moment. Let me take a quick response from Alhaji Moro and Honorable Bawa.
Response, I want to
You want to ask a question?
Yeah,
okay.
My good friend, why don't you add a special petroleum tax to your suggestions?
I think he did it.
Special, no. Okay. He didn't mention special petroleum tax.
Alhaji Moro is saying that why don't you add the special petroleum tax to your suggestions for address?
That's the first item on the line. The SPT the PSRL, and then the PMS, that's the pollution and sanitation levy. So, but you see, Alaji, significantly, okay, and it's important for all of us to think of these matters. All these prices that are rising, okay, government taxes haven't risen. It is fixed. And so the question is this, that these taxes are what is going to feed the expenditure that have been provided for in the budget. Payment of wages and salaries, interest payments, statutory payments, and if there's some remainder, fund our roads, our schools, and all that. Of course, there won't be any remainder because we all know the structure of our revenue and the way it is. Now, even a 23 peso reduction, okay, in the taxes, one won't have any bearing on relieving the consumer. But it's going to create a hole of 120 plus million cedi per month in government revenue. And so if you multiply that in the event that it stays the way it is, assuming for the rest of the year, you can begin to imagine what that would do to government revenue and by necessary implication, the finances of the state. And so we ought to realize that these matters are not quick fixes, okay? That's why it's taking a while for the Bank of Ghana, the Ministry of Finance, to then do their own modeling to see the extent to which the recommendations that we as a ministry have submitted to them will have an impact on the government finances and by extension, the total economy. Bear in mind, Jifa, that even the budget that was approved by my friends, including with support from my friends on the other side, okay, that then says that go ahead and implement the budget, including all the revenue handles that is contained in there. They have refused to support the passage of the e-levy, which is a critical component of the revenue handles of the state. So there's some constraint already, okay? And so my only call is that, yes, we all are bearing the brunt of the increases at the pump. We share the pain, but as responsible managers of the economy, whatever it is that government does, clearly ought to be situated within that context of the broader economy and what it is that any reduction in the taxes and levies, which have not increased as a result of the increases at the of petroleum products, would have on the finances of the state.
Okay. Honorable Bauer, I'm sure you have some points you would like to raise with him. Yes, please go ahead.
First and foremost, on the price stabilization and recovery levy.
He challenges the figures that your side has put out.
You see, we all do know the figures that are always available in terms of our consumption, because you look at the volumes that you consume, and on the basis of that, you make a projection. And indeed, we are not the only people who have made these calculations. We have had the situation where ASEP, and that's what I said, also collaborate our figures, because we look at the consumptions and apply it over the period. Two, the fact that you state the balance in the account does not suggest that you have accounted for the money. The fact that you state the balance, because we have in this our country, a history in this our country, where toll recovery levy, you remember that levy that was introduced in 2004. It was specifically to retard the indebtedness of toll. But after the Auditor General audited the accounts, it was realized that under Asamoah Boateng, then the Minister for Information, applied part of these things in taking care of media, editors and whatever in media houses. That was not supposed to be used for that. So our point we are making is that we are not saying that the balance is not 40-point-something million Ghana cedis. We are saying that you cannot account for in almost $1 billion, and until you tell us otherwise. And we have been calling for this for not today.
But he says that there are specific times that these informations are made available to Parliament.
Ask him when was the last time they brought that. Ask him when was the last time they brought this particular document to us. Ask him. That's the first thing. Two, you ask MPA, and MPA tells you today that they do not use a dime in stabilizing prices. According to them, all that they use in doing now is that they use it in subsidizing premix and then RFU.
The Honorable referenced
Yeah, no,
that.
so no, he talked about the fact that the purpose of it was one, to stabilize prices, and two, to subsidize premix. As we speak now, one major component for the introduction of this particular tax is not being is not benefiting from it, and that's why we think that just based on just the subsidies of these two petroleum products, these social products. In fact, one is not a social product. The RFOs are meant for industries, and the whole idea is to reduce the energy cost of what they call it, the industries. That's what we're saying. We have a question mark on that. That the way it is being expended. So the balance is not the issue. That's the first point. Two, he talks about the fact that yes, the country, the reason why we are in terms of the city. That is very true. I agree with him.
So he references some suggestions
that
are
and that's the point I'm going to.
Yes.
You see, Jeffa, you must look at something. You remember, between 2020 and 2021, indeed, if you look at the Bank of Ghana figures that have just been brought out recently, you remember that you recall that the Bank of Ghana said that the cedi even appreciated by 0.05% to the dollar. There was a basic reason for that. During that period, because of the COVID that we had, almost all borders were closed. So our import demands were very low. People did not need to go outside to go and buy things. And so on the basis of that, the cedi became stabilized. Indeed, even at one point started appreciating. At that time, government was singing almost on top of all the roots that, oh, it is because the fundamentals are strong. And when we consistently told them that, look, that is not the case. It's just because people are not demanding the dollar because borders are closed because of COVID.
But should government be blamed if you have people speculating and scrambling to collect the dollar? No, government cannot be in control of that.
Government must put structures, and I'm going to explain that. That's the point I'm trying to make. But I was just trying to say that just post that when businesses started recovering, and then everything started moving on, and people started demanding for dollars. The last quarter of 2021, and then the first quarter now of 2022. See how the cedi has depreciated. That's the first point. Two, because of government's own actions, in terms of their unsatiable, appetite for debt, our economy now has a debt level that is not sustainable. It is the basis for the downgrade by the rating agencies. So you have a situation where you have run down the economy, and so you are not profitable. People do not see you as a worthy, borrower. So because of that, you simply cannot borrow. And all along, government has always used the fact that they issue what we call the dollar-denominated domestic bonds to be able to get a lot of foreign currency to shore up our cedi. Because they cannot issue these bonds in the capital market, they have no way of raising foreign currency within the country for us. That's one. Two, government has consistently indicated that, look, if you look at our foreign reserve, that it is equivalent to 4 months of import cover. If that is the case, if it was true, and that's why I have always doubted government's the statistics they throw out. If that was the case,
the Bank of Ghana or who? Because
government.
It's the Bank of Ghana. No, but it's the Bank of Ghana that provides the foundation for that data. We have known that.
Bank of Ghana told us.
Excuse me. The finance
Bank
ministry.
of Ghana gave us an issue of our debt levels, didn't they? Bank of Ghana gave us an issue of our debt levels. The figures they mentioned was different from what the IMF mentioned, because they started treating figures differently. For example, the government of Ghana, through the Bank of Ghana, decided to ring fence, for example, our energy debt.
But if that's a specific policy of the current administration,
it is not that's different. There are standards. Excuse me. Today, you tell me that the Sino Hydro arrangement that was done. They said it was not a loan. You remember that's what they said. They said it was not a loan. We have drawn down almost about $600 million for this particular point. The reason was that we were supposed to use our refined bauxite to pay for it. As we speak today, we have not been able to refine a single bauxite. Meanwhile, so it becomes part of the debt of government of Ghana.
Okay, but the point.
So the point I'm just trying to
addressing. The suggestions.
No, I'm coming. So on the basis of
the options they are looking at.
I am trying to look the option. I'm just coming to the options. So because of all these rigidities, government, as we speak, the arrangement they have making, All along, if you look at the oil, our import bill, for just the total import bill, oil alone, the petroleum alone is about 20%. So if government says that they want to have an arrangement with the Bank of Ghana, say that they make forex available to what do you call it?
The BDCs.
The BDCs. The truth of the matter is that the Bank of Ghana itself has said, you remember recently they auctioned about 75 billion, into the market. And it was oversubscribed by about 200 billion. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
If that is the case, Bank of Ghana itself does not have, remember that they don't produce dollars. They don't even have the dollars. That is the challenge. So yes, the arrangement is good. And it has been done in the past, where there was always arrangement between the Bank of Ghana and the BDC, said that you are given a specific rate, so that I know that even
so
though
that there are not volatilities, and
but the truth of the matter is that as we
speak,
speak now, when they go to Bank of Ghana, they don't get it, and that's why they are forced to go to the the retail market to be able to get it. That's the other one.
Okay.
But the last but not the least, in mentioning the tax handles that they suggest that they should take out, I want to challenge the Ministry of Energy. You see, the energy sector recovery levy was into and he made that point very clearly that look, every tax handle has a purpose. The purpose for the energy sector recovery levy was to retire any liabilities that was occasioned by excess capacity charges. As we speak today, ask Energy Commission, our peak demand today minus reserve margin is 4,200. So where is the excess capacity coming from? So these monies that they are collecting,
saying that they are using all the generating facilities available to all.
So as we speak today, we do not capacity charges are not being occasioned. Indeed, when the Minister of Finance, and listen to me very carefully, when the Minister of Finance was asked to come and give us an account of how much we have spent in paying for capacity charges since 2017 to 22 or 21, sorry. When he gave us the figure, it was less than 1 billion. But when you listen to government spokespersons talking, they talk to you about, they say about 26 billion for energy charges in the IPPs. Where is this figure coming from?
Okay. So
where is this figure coming from?
Okay.
So I'm just trying to tell you that all the figures, no, I'm coming, but just I beg you.
Need to
I need to wrap up because he spoke so much, and that's the point I'm trying to make. This last point, he says that when you take out a particular tax handle, he gave a figure of about 100 and something million. And so sometimes, even though it does not have a direct impact on the total export price, if you look at the volume of what they call revenue that is taken out from government kitty, it's a very huge. What he is not telling people, that if you look at our 2022 budget, our benchmark revenue was pinched at around $62 per barrel. You understand my point? Today, we are hovering in the neighborhoods of hundreds. So any time that we, because obviously, remember that.
Yes, but the point is, if you hedge over a period, you will not.
Has government told you that they have hedged?
Well, I'm just letting you know.
No, that's the point. Government has not hedged.
Okay, we need to find.
Yes,
we need to find out. I know that in the oil.
Why?
No, I've been in the oil sector, and I know that you, for to manage your risk, you hedge some of your oil. You may not hedge. So we need to find out.
The question is that as we speak now,
because the assumption being made is, we pegged it at 60 something. Now we are getting more than $40.
You see something? I'm stating categorically that for the government of Ghana's portion of oil,
you are sure
we have not hedged.
Okay.
We have not hedged. So the windfalls we are getting there, they are refusing to tell Ghanaians that they are smiling to the bank. And all they are thinking about is that, when you take out a tax handle, how much is going to cost government? And they are not being transparent. Okay. That's the point I'm just trying to make.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Bauer. The Honorable Mesa, so I'll let you answer these points, quite a number of them. If you can be brief with each as you can, because I know you don't have that much time. So first, is government making a windfall of more than $40 per barrel of oil, for which the government is smiling to the bank and not telling us?
Well, from where I sit, I wouldn't know. In any event, yes, the prices of crude have gone up. And if you look at 2021 figures, where the benchmark that was price that was indicated in the budget, at the end of the day, we got some excess, because the price was more than that. For which government made in the region of some 300 million, I believe, then it stands to reason that all things being equal, okay, you're likely to have some windfall this year as well. And so to that extent, but you see, the point is this. Jiva, you already run a deficit financing budget. And so your revenues, your total revenue from taxes, non-tax, is all still insufficient to meet your expenditure, such that you still have to borrow to meet the shortfall. Indeed, the so-called windfall is still insufficient to meet the total expenditure of government for a year. So if you were managing an economy that is debt-ridden, if you like, to a large extent, and you are working to reduce that burden, if you make extra income anywhere, would you squander it advisedly, and I choose my words with all due respect, or that you manage it in such a manner as to reduce your burden? Of course, that's the duty of the Ministry of Finance to provide responses to. And I will urge him to file a question in Parliament for the Finance Minister to come and provide details on whatever windfall that government is making and what they are using it for, and not using it to pay down the price of consumers' fuel demands at the pump. And I'll be interested in knowing a response from the Bank of Ghana in that respect as well. But
all right.
Yes, it is possible for all things being equal, with the prices that are going the way it is, government is likely to get more than a budgeted for in terms of petroleum revenue. Yes.
All right. In terms of the BDCs and the arrangement for providing them forex, there's also a question about these increases at the pumps. I know that may not sit squarely with you because the BDCs are also business people, but sometimes one really wonders. We all know that these petroleum products, you need to order them 3 months ahead at a certain price, and then you ask yourself, did that old consignment actually run out before they are charging you these new prices? Are those not issues that we need to interrogate as well? I'm not saying that BDCs should lose money, but the reality is, look at the rapid increases. And is it true that that consignment is finished? I wonder.
Well, Jifa, it's a difficult one. So then I will throw you an interesting angle. That so in the event that the commodity that they purchased today, okay, tomorrow it drops and the prices are reduced, and they are forced to sell it at that reduced price, what happens? Okay, 2 days ago, I was in a meeting with the MD of Coal Energy, and he was saying that because of the nature of the prices, some companies are likely to suffer in the coming months. Okay, he even projected that some companies were going to collapse. And so, yes, it's something that the NPA, I believe, monitors, okay, to ensure that the consumers are not ripped off. But the truth of the matter is that some people may gain and some people may lose, depending on their stock management that they run. And I mean, this is speaking from my own, sense of calculation and how potentially an upward or reduction of the price could yield for some importer, depending on the time. Okay, but significantly, and if I don't respond to this,
yes, you can. Go ahead with the response you want.
You see, same figures that they throw about that I don't know what they intend to achieve. To deceive.
You dispute the figures Honorable Bauer has put out.
They say, according to them, that reserve margin is 20%. I'll grant them that. But industry-wise, it's 10%. But I'll grant them the 20. As of February, when we reached our peak, was 3,300 megawatts of power. If you add 20% of that, you don't get to 4,000. In fact, 10% of 3,000 is 300 times 2. 3,600. So where is the 4,200 that he's throwing about? Where is he getting it? Where is he getting that figure from? Look, the truth of the matter is this, that all the power that was installed 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, technically, we did not consume 1 kilowatt of it. A single one.
Are you saying we are not consuming any of that now?
Oh, no, it's only in 2020 that we ate a little. And in fact, I will send you the chart now. So we've been paying for all that power that the NDC contracted for 5 years without consuming any of it. That is a fact.
But Honorable Mesa,
he likes, Jifa, please, he likes to reference World Bank and IMF. And I'm referencing World Bank. So let's stop the talk that there's no excess capacity. Because these are matters of fact.
I would like to ask, though, when the new Patriotic Party government came into office in 2017, it meant that the power crisis also, in a sense, came to an end. It didn't come to an...
power crisis. There was no power crisis to begin with.
No, there was a power crisis up until 2017.
Jifa, hold on. I'm saying that there was no power crisis to begin with because we had sufficient enough capacity that was still not consumed all the way until 2020. Why? When I said that, you didn't hear me. I'm saying that all the power that was installed, we didn't consume one for 5 years. So there was no power crisis.
No, so that's...
They didn't have the money to buy the fuel. Oh, please. It was mismanagement of the economy. Dr. Baumia said it. That look, the power crisis, the doomsday that we slept in for 5 years was not because we didn't have power. No. Mr. Mahama himself said it. That it was as a result of some gas pipeline that had been destroyed.
It wasn't only because of that, Honorable Mesa. It wasn't only because of that.
I'm talking data. I'm not speaking from my head. I'm talking to you data. That he references Bank of World Bank, and I'm telling you, with all due respect, this is the Bank of Ghana World Bank data. Look on the screen. The thick black is the installed capacity as of 2014. The light blue was all added. The red line is our peak consumption. Look at it and tell me whether there was power crisis. There was financial crisis. That was what we had under the Mr. Mahama administration. So they couldn't pay. That's it. This is the data. So let them stop throwing words and figures around to deceive the people of Ghana. This is the fact. Okay? World Bank, look at it.
So how come that
the black line was the power that had been installed to 2015?
Okay, so hold on, Honorable Bauer. Okay, Honorable Bauer just wants to throw in a question there. Okay, please, I need to wrap up this round because I still have to deal with GPRTU's issues. Yes.
So you see, let me. No. You have.
Yes. Okay. So Honorable Bauer, let Honorable Bauer
talk about balance on the account is not important.
Okay.
And that is the reporting and the accounting of it. That is of importance to them. And he suggests that when was the last time that a report was submitted to Parliament? Is Honorable Bauer telling the people of Ghana that the 2020 petroleum, energy sector management report was not submitted to Parliament?
So 2021.
2020. Because 2021.
But what happened in 2021 and 2022 so far?
But 2021, the report is not due to be submitted.
It's an annual thing. So how come that is not due?
It's an annual. Section 6. Section 6 of the Energy Sector Levies Act. Okay? Says here, the minister shall submit to Parliament an annual report on the management of the account established under And this price stabilization recovery levy is established under Section 5 of the Act. So I'm asking him whether the 2021 or 2020 report was not submitted to Parliament.
Where's the 2021? The 2021.
The 2021 is not due.
Okay, so it's not due. But I still have a question to ask you on the excess capacity that you mentioned. Because if you insist that we didn't need the excess capacity and we are paying for it, two questions. How much have we paid so far? And why did we have intermittent power cuts in parts of 2020 and 2021 if we had excess capacity? Why didn't we use that?
That was explained by the minister. I accompanied the minister to a press conference at the Ministry of Information, where he informed Ghanaians that because of the work that was being done at the Pukwasi.
So it's only because of that one work?
Absolutely. And of course, localized outages that occasion regular maintenance of ECG works is experienced. But that did not take 5 years.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
But what did it take on that when they were in government?
Okay, so how much have we paid? Okay, how much have we
paid? Please,
we have seen the graph. Thank you for showing it to us. But I want to know how much have we paid for the excess capacity since 2017? Are you able to give us a figure?
Unfortunately, I don't have the figure with me, but this is public knowledge. The Minister of Finance has spoken extensively to this. Okay, and so it is something that can be verified at any time.
Okay,
I've actually sent you.
Yes, I've seen
actually sent you the document.
The copy of the picture and the document.
It to Honorable Bawa to dispute the World Bank
I'll forward
that
it
these days. In any event, before I go,
yes, before you go,
this so-called double reporting. You recall the country manager of IMF when one of I don't remember whether it was Honorable Jinapo who made that assertion on Newsfile that the IMF country manager called in to say that as far as they are concerned, they are aware of all the figures that government is reporting. You recall? No. In any event, the budget. Oh, please.
I didn't watch the program, so I don't know.
That's fine.
That's what
I'm telling you. As a matter of fact, that the country manager of the IMF called into the program, or he was called, and he confirmed that all the figures that government was reporting was known to them. In any event, how can you even accuse somebody of misreporting when all the information that the person is providing to you is contained in the same document? What government elected to do was that, look, in a certain financial year, we had expended some funds which were not part of our regular budgetary cycle. And so, yes, we recognize it as part of our obligations, but to enable us monitor, in fact, what our performance year on year, regular, was, let's treat that extraordinary expenditure differently from our regular budget cycle. How is that criminal?
Okay, so how
are you reporting it? In terms of, for example,
contained in the same document. You say they are misreporting, they are hiding figures.
No, so what he says was that it was not added to our debt stock, it was ring-fenced. And so it gave an illusion of our finances doing well when it wasn't.
That's not true. And let me give you a daily look. As we all go about. We have our rent, our fuel, our fee, our electricity bills, our water bills that we pay.
I'll let you go.
On a monthly basis from our salary. If touch wood, in a particular month, you are supposed to embark on some surgery that costs you excess, way and above your budget, monthly budget that you budget within your revenue or your income and your expenditure. And so that debt is accrued to you. It's your debt. But you decide that based on your regular budget, you treat that debt, that extraordinary debt, even though you pay for it, separate monthly revenue and expenditure. That's fine.
Okay, so I'll stop you on that. And the final bit he raised, Honorable Bawa raises about the Sino Hydro that we were told that was going to be, it was not a loan yet. We've not seen the production of the bauxite. We're not sure where we are on the Sino Hydro deal. He says we've drawn down 600 million. Can you give us any view on that?
Well, I guess that's the reason why, and I don't know the details, I must be honest, okay? But I guess that's the reason
Well, that
why...
was brokered by the Vice President's office. So ideally, that's where we should be getting answers from.
No, I'm coming.
Yes, Honorable.
And luckily, now he's a member of Finance Committee.
It's because, you see, look, the plan or the projection has obviously not been met because it took a while for the law to be passed, guided to be set up, the process of identifying the strategic investor and all that took time. And so the 3-year time frame that was anticipated for the setting up of the processing of the bauxite hasn't taken place. And so obviously all that money that you projected to spend rationally and responsibly has not all been drawn down.
No,
okay.
Drawn down some.
So that, no, we haven't drawn down all of it.
I say yes, but you don't.
Because the processes that were going to trigger the release of all the funds obviously has delayed.
What you have drawn down,
There is no denying.
Is it a debt or is not?
But the fact is, there were safeguards that were put in that agreement to ensure that if at any point government is unable to provide bauxite for the repayment or in exchange for the facility, government was going to use its resources to pay. And that's what it is.
Okay.
What is there to hide about this?
But how long then will it take for us to complete all of that?
Fantastic. So as we speak, an investor has been identified. I believe that agreements have been signed, and they are working to bring the entire project into fruition.
So will they bring the agreement to Parliament, the additional, whoever the investor, so that there's transparency?
I really don't know whether the law
requires that
any investor that government identifies and goes into an SPV with ought to come back to Parliament. I need to check. I don't know. Okay, as I sit here, I cannot confirm. But it would be strange to me that it would require parliamentary approval because the law was crafted such that government take, okay, by way of equity, was going to be in the JV that was going to be established to mine the bauxite. Okay, so I don't know whether it has to go back, but these are matters that we can confirm easily. It's not a problem.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Ejapamesa, for dealing with the issues.
Are you going on?
Yes, he's going on because he says he has another appointment he needs to keep, and so does to Alhaji Moro. So I'll leave the politics for them. I'll just come back to you on a few issues. I know that one of the concerns that transport operators have has to do with the cost of spare parts because of the imports. Then the other issue also has to do with the insurance bill and other fees and levies. If these were dealt with, would that ease the pressure for transport operators? Would that mean then that probably you can reduce the request of 15% to 10%?
Well, we've been doing that out of sympathy. Because if you are behind the wheels, you are the driver. If you are out of the wheels, you join somebody's vehicle and you might be in the position to pay for. But to be honest with you, running transport, fuel is our major component. Because if you don't have, the vehicle cannot move.
In terms of the look ahead now, there's the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. What discussion have you had with them on these issues, or they are no more a relevant player in all of this? Because a lot of the time when I speak to the different transport unions, they don't seem to have confidence in the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council.
They are not the captain on the field. It is the captain who controls the players. So I wouldn't want to talk much about them. If we have chairman and vice chairman, if the chairman is very effective, the vice chairman is like a spare tire, so consider them as such. As vice
chairman.
Yes.
Okay. What will be your final word to Ghanaians generally who patronize your business? Because I'm just wondering, have you seen a drop in people taking, public transportation? Do you foresee that people may decide Maybe if this is a distance I can walk, I'd rather walk. Do you foresee that this may impact your revenues?
Well, nowadays, we don't walk. So, but to be honest with you, some of the short distances, like from Abekan proper to Abekan Junction, in the morning you see people from Kanesho to Agbogbunshi, that short stretch. In the mornings you see people walking. But by then, when they walk to their destination, there's joint vehicles coming back. So we are managing the situation. I'll just plea to my colleague drivers that they should have the same confidence in us. We'll do everything possible to make sure we revive our industry, make it more lucrative for the young ones coming. The passengers also should still have confidence in us. We'll make sure right things are being done so that we serve them and they also serve us.
All right. Thank you very much, Alaji. And yes, Honorable Bauer.
Okay,
Wait.
So okay. There are some 3 quick ones I want to do. I don't know what time you have. First one, I will simply not let it go when he indicates and he gives out a graph to you, because in the first place, I'll need to know when this particular document was produced. Talk to the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, and they will tell you that as we speak now, the demand, now the peak demand now is 4,200. Indeed, you need to first and foremost know that any time one of our plants go down, we always have power, load shedding. You remember even at one point when car power, because he says that we didn't deploy any of those machines that we brought. But you and I know that car power, for example, anytime car power goes down, there's doom so. So the question you will ask yourself is that, how come that if we never deployed any of those things, that for God knows about 4 or 5 years now, we have been using car power, because car power was one of those emergency plants that we brought on board, and they came and even extended the tenure. So very clearly, it can't be the case that these machines were not being used. Ameri was being used. It's not true that this machine, Ameri was never being used. So that's the first point. 2, he indicates that there was no power crisis in this country, and he references the disruption of the West African gas pipeline. That was actually in July of 2012.
That was just one.
Yes.
That was just a freak accident, and I think I indicated to him
so
that was not the only issue.
Because that couldn't have been. So I think maybe he chose just to throw that in and then make. But you see, I want us to come back to the topic, and that has to do with the suggestions on how to impact on the maybe to help in ameliorating the hardships that we go through. Look, we have 3 state agencies. At least 2, and then 1 government of Ghana through its agencies have about 51 stake, and that's GOEL. Over the period, we have always indicated that BOST is supposed to be a strategic reserve holder. As we speak now, BOST does not have a drop of petroleum product on its own. All they do is to rent out their tanks to BDCs, to come and store their petroleum products in. When things became difficult in terms of prices going up under the NDC, what the NDC did was that because BOST was supposed to be a strategic, reserve holder, instead of buying refined products, they bought crude and gave it to TOR and mostly we're buying them from Nigeria, and gave it to TOR to refine. Then the products are given to BOST. So the old products of BOST is given to GOEL to sell at a very reduced price. And therefore, it forced a lot of the market, because it's a deregulated market, to come down. As we speak today, almost 2 years now, TOR has not been functioning. The reason for which it is not functioning, nobody knows. And so you have a situation, if you talk to the BDCs today, they say that they would have wished that, look, we have TOR functioning now, and that instead of we buying refined products, we will get, the products, crude, and then bring it into the system. You recall that at the time when they took over in 2017, TOR had in their possession, because the government of Ghana had supplied up to 2 million barrels of crude to TOR to process. These were all part of the strategies to see how we could produce the refined products in country and then push down the price. Because yes, he made a very important point. If you look as we speak today, even though crude prices have been coming down, if you look at refined products are going up. the cost of refined products are going up because if you look at the whole of because of the Ukraine crisis, most of the Europe is no longer getting a lot of their products from Russia. So most of the vessels that were meant for the West African coast are now all diverting into Europe. And so because of that, it is now difficult to even get the product to bring it to Ghana. I don't know whether I'm making sense. So you see that there's a disconnect between the prices of refined products and the prices of crude. And it is purely because of the fact that these are all imported products.
And
so
if there's the extra cost
there
of
is
the
the extra cost that
will
freight and on those things. And so if we were able to fix the toll, make sure that BOST goes back to hold strategic stocks, and that we make BOST, GOIL, and then toll work together, we should be able to push down prices in in the market. But you see, Jifa, in all these things, I always look at the effect on me and you as Ghanaians.
You don't have confidence that the team meeting, the president and his team meeting will come up with something.
So what is it that
supports all of us?
So the question is that before even they become out something, and I'm told that as at yesterday, as part of the business report that was given to Parliament, the understanding was that the Minister of Finance, in the course of next week, will come and give us a brief as to how the current challenges are going to be dealt with. Look, government has not given us any clear way, apart from the fact that they think that it is the approval of e-levy that is the panacea of all our economic problems. We've heard a lot of what they call experts speak to the fact that that cannot be a solution to a problem. Most people have indicated, and that's why he was talking about the budget, deficit financing that he's talking about. We said, cut down on your expenditure. That is all that we have said. Cut down on it. If, for example, today, you know that you owe X amount of money, or maybe let's say 10 cedis, you owe 10 cedis. Your income as we speak now is 5 cedis. Do you still go on to think of a way of even going to spend around 9 cedis? Almost at the level of your debt. You can't be doing that. You can't simply be doing that. Because it is true. 3 line items alone, statutory payments, our debt financing and the amortization, that's in terms of interest payment and amortization. And then our statutory funds alone consumes all our...
It doesn't consume, or it consumes about 75%.
No, excuse me.
The last time I checked.
That is, you are talking about when it comes to other wages. But I'm taking the 3 components. Our projected budget for this year is 100.5, billion. As we speak now, if you take interest payments and then amortization, if you take compensation and you take the,
the debt.
No, as I've made that, the compensation and then our statutory funds. It gives us a total of 113 billion.
So we have.
So already before even goods and,
yes.
So before goods and services of 9 billion and capital expenditure of 16 billion is added, we already have a deficit of 12.5. So that's what I'm saying. That just 3 items outstrip our total revenue for 2022. So I'm just trying to make that. If you have a situation like this, why do you still continuously want to spend? You should be seen to be cutting down your expenditure.
The finance minister has pledged 20% cuts in the public sector.
So when he says 20%, which part of it is he cutting?
Okay.
So
you want
because
to see,
you know why?
You want to see that specific
because you know why?
breakdown.
He cannot cut down on compensation. He cannot cut down on salaries. Will he? He will run out from this country if he does that. He cannot cut down on interest payment amortization. It's compulsory.
Okay, but they can cut down on the budgets to the various ministries, Office of Government Machinery.
But I'm saying that, I'm just telling you that just this 3 consumes all his revenue. So where is he cutting? I'm just saying these 3 items, they consume all his revenue. So where is he cutting? And that is why he cleverly never mentioned the areas he was going to cut. Because there's no place to cut. There's no place to cut. So government must begin to start thinking of how to be modest in its expenditure. That's the point I can make.
Okay. Let me read some of the messages that have come through on Twitter. This one from Papa J Jr. It says, they are not ready to seek assistance from the experts. They're full of themselves and they've not dealt with our problems. This one from Baba Chairman in Tamale says, I believe by the end of the 4-day retreat, the Ghanaian petroleum consuming public will be cushioned. The government, and for that matter, the president, has always been a listening government. This one says, unfortunately, they never seem to have the data whenever they are asked a question to their specific functions. And those were some of your messages on Twitter. Those on Facebook, this one says, let's face the reality of the general hardship and the cost of food. And that's from a gentleman called Douglas. This one from Barnabas. The NPP keeps on blaming the previous administration. Thank God all these fuel price hikes doesn't affect NDC members alone. It also affects NPP members. We live to see. This one from Mohammed. When your fundamentals are weak, the fuel price will expose you. And this one says, the NPP have not provided us the results that we needed. That's from Baba. Thank you very much for your messages, and many thanks to our guest, the Honorable Ejapa Mercer, who joined us via Zoom. Many thanks to the Honorable Edward Barr, who's been with us in studio, and to Alhaji Muru, who's had to leave us because he has another appointment. We take a break and we'll be right back